In this video, guys, we're going to put together a budget gaming PC under $1,000 excluding monitor. We're going to use some high quality parts. After a lot of research, this is what I bought for this build, and please guys ignore my skills. I haven't built a PC for a while. The aim of the computer will be high FPS at a 1440p resolution. This is going to be a long video, so sit back, relax, get some popcorn and enjoy the build. No music, let's go for ASMR style for this one. Yeah guys, so without any further ado, let's start. Okay guys, so this is all the parts we're going to put together, including the monitor. There's a link down below for every single one, and in terms of size, went for the micro ATX size. As I mentioned, this is probably the best value for money components you can get for a nice gaming PC using, of course, 1440p resolution. If you want to go for 4K, of course this won't do, or if you want to do a lot of video editing, you need a better CPU, etc. So I'll be covering all the specs in detail while we're putting the PC together. For example, monitor Gigabyte 32Q IPS screen. This monitor supports up to 170 Hz of refresh rate and a max resolution of 1440p. According to some review that we can see online, it's one of the best value for money monitor with this size using an IPS panel. So far I've been enjoying it, the calls are amazing, and in terms of gaming, no complaints whatsoever. For the case, and after a bit of research, I went for this Fractal Pop Mini Air RGB Micro ATX size. This is not the cheapest case you can get, as some cheaper models online, but this one has some quality and looks amazing. There is a silent version of this case, of course, more padding, more sound absorption, but in terms of airflow, it's not like this one. I do like this mesh on the front like a cube, and you got these grills at the top, so in terms of ventilation it's quite good. The case comes with 3 aspect fans, 2 at the front, 1 extraction fan at the rear, all 120mm. In terms of noise, they are pretty quiet in my opinion. The I/O is on top of the case with a power button to change the color of the fans, headphone jack, microphone jack, 2 USB type A and a blank USB type C. The cable is sold separately. Now let's look at this motherboard, the ASUS TUF Gaming B550M plus Wi-Fi 2. It does have a socket AM4, which is suitable for our CPU, the Ryzen 5 5600X. Of course, being the Wi-Fi version, has Wi-Fi 6 and has its ASUS Aura Sync for the RGBs. For this particular build, we didn't go crazy with the lighting, just something very subtle, and you can also turn it off. On the back of the case here, you guys can see the USB ports, and it does support the Ethernet, the speed 2.5 GHz. Okay, so I'll be quiet. Let's see what's in the box. First thing first, let's put the CPU over there. In this case, the Ryzen 5 5600X, and for budget purposes, we're going to use the stock cooler. For now it will do. The fan is quiet and I'm not going to do any overclock. Here you can see the specs, 3.7 GHz, to 4.6 GHz when boost, 6 core, 12 threads, PCIe 4.0. There you have it, guys, the Ryzen 5 5600X. In the box you can find some paperwork and the stock cooler. Let's now put the CPU in. We just need to raise this lever like this and align this mark there on the corner, this small triangle there, with the one on the motherboard. The only thing we need to do now is just drop it in, don't force anything, just align the pins and it should drop in place like this. Last thing, carefully just lower the lever and that's it, guys. Job done, CPU is installed. As you can see there, socket AM4. Okay, so next step will be installing these memories, 16 gigs, 3200 MHz, DDR4 in this case. The brand is Corsair. And of course, I do recommend go to the Motherboard website and check for memory compatibility. Mine don't have any RGB, any lighting at all, so plain. I'm sure you can find some model with some RGB if that's what you're looking for. On the motherboard leaflet you can see the right slot for the 2 DIMMs of memory. I'm going to put it on that lighter gray there. There's one clip that you need to move. That one doesn't move, is the one on the right. So you need to open it and slot the memory in. There's only one way that goes. You can see there's a key there, so it doesn't go that way, so I need to flip it and yeah, align the memory with the motherboard slot until you hear a click. Don't force anything, of course. Perfect, so we have our memory installed. Let's go to the next step. And the next step is to install our storing device, our disk, M.2 NVMe 1TB in this case. We got 2 slots, one there and one at the bottom. The one at the bottom, although it has a heatsink, it only supports generation 3 and the top slot generation 4. So we're going to put it at the top, although there's no heatsink in our case. There are plenty of options on the market. I went for this Western Digital 1TB. You can also go for a normal SSD or even a mechanical drive. But yeah, if you want to use the max speed, this will be the best option. There are some faster models on the market, but for the money, I think this one will do the trick quite well. Model SN770. As you can see here, pretty tiny, pretty slim as well. Yeah, let's install it. And for that we need to install this standoff. It comes already with the motherboard and goes there. Let me just show you. So the disk, let's call it the disk, goes there. There's only one way to get in, there's also a key. So insert it like that and then the standoff will go there. So you know the position. And because it was so tiny, I had to do it off camera, but hopefully you guys get the idea. So just use your fingers there and use this provided screw to install it. Job done. So far so good, pretty easy, guys. So we have installed our disk, our CPU, then the memory. Next step, we're going to install the stock cooler, and for that we need to remove those 2 brackets there, and to do that we just need to remove the 4 screws. That's it. Remove the 2 brackets, but leave the rest on, so you don't need to touch anything else if you intend to install the stock cooler. It already comes with thermal paste, so one less thing that you need to worry about. In terms of orientation, can go like this or the other way around, like that. Can you see that AMD symbol on the left? I think I'm going to keep it that way, because if we put it the other way around, it will almost touch the memories. And if you want to expand the memory, we need to remove our cooler, and we don't want that. Yeah, pretty close. So let's put the AMD symbol on the left side. And one thing you need to be aware of is do not touch the thermal paste while doing all these tests. Okay guys, so now we just need to align the CPU with the holes, and we're going to tie the screws on the cross pattern like that. Next step, we'll need to route the cable to the motherboard CPU fan connector or header. Okay, so as I mentioned, let's plug the fan to the header on the motherboard. It should say CPU fan. And again, it will only go one way. While doing this, try to route the cable the best way possible, so the cable will be hidden away. I tucked it under there and just plug it in. I'm sure you guys will probably find the best way to route the cable, but for now that will do. Very good guys, so next step, case, and I picked this Fractal Pop Mini Air RGB. Here you guys can see the filter at the top, there's also a filter at the bottom. This is a good quality case. It's not the cheapest one you can get, but the quality is there, as you guys can see, or you guys will see throughout the build. At the front you got two fans, RGB as well. You got the storage compartment, I'll show you this later. On the side you got your typical side glass, and at the rear we have one more fan, and that's basically it. Small format micro ATX case. We're going to start by opening both sides. Let's remove the glass side first. These thumb screws are quite handy, so you don't need a screwdriver. And to remove the glass, just push it backwards and out. And there you have it guys. Note that Fractal logo there, Fractal design, one of the best manufacturers for PC cases. On the other side, same drill, thumb screws. Just undo those, same procedure, back and out. Here you can see part of the cable management from factory. There's also the both SSD bracket there. We'll see all this in detail in a minute. Turning to the front, there's also this flap, it's magnetic. That will give you access to a small tray. This is quite unique, I've never seen anything like that. I believe you can install a DVD drive there if you wish to. Yeah, there's a small tray with a logo as well. The front will pop out as well, and you can see this mesh here with a cube, 3D cube effect, quite cool. And now we can see the two aspect fan, both RGB. The three fans in this case are RGB. Quality again quite good for this Fractal case, and this angle will give us a nice perspective of the skeleton of the case. Down here we can see the brackets for the hard drive, and here this is all the cables that we need to install later on alongside the fan cables, fan RGBs, etc. This is the SSD bracket. And here at the bottom you got this slide out filter. There is a goodie bag with some accessories for the case, screws, zip ties, all labeled in the manual with the quantities so you can follow on. Okay guys, let's continue with our build. Here's the motherboard I/O shield. You can see the words Tough Gaming there. Black matte background. I do like these small details, guys. You can see Wi-Fi 6, Ethernet 2.5 GHz, HDMI, etc. So this goes on the back of the case, like so. Make sure it's in position, but don't bend it. Be careful. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to put our motherboard in. There's this standoff already installed. It will match the holes on the motherboard itself, and carefully just align the back I/O with the holes, everything. As you can see, I'm way out of position. I need to bring it down a little bit. Gentle, just find the perfect location for the motherboard, and then we just need to use the provided screws. Everything is well labeled on the case. Use a manual, and without any rush, just tighten the screws. Okay, so far so good. Next step, we're going to bring our PSU into the build, so let's do that now. My choice was the Seasonic 750 watts. According to the manufacturer of our graphics card, the 6700 XT, they recommend at least 650 watts, so we went a little bit above. Seasonic is a well-known PSU manufacturer. I went for the non-modular PSU, bit cheaper, want to keep this budget down. And I'm sure we can tuck those extra cables that we don't use inside our case, no worries there. Inside the box we can find more zip ties, installation screws for the PSU, and of course the PSU itself. Got the power lead. There you have it guys, Seasonic, got some specs there on the side, 80 plus gold, and this spaghetti of cables, again non-modular, so you need to be very good with cable management later on down the build. Going back to the case, so let's install the PSU right there at the bottom. Let's try not to scratch anything. To install the PSU we need to remove this SSD bracket and carefully put the PSU back into the case. Last, we just need to align the holes for the screws and do those 4 screws. Looking carefully at the cables, you can see that everything is labeled, in this case CPU, and you can split them apart when needed. The first cable we're going to install will be this USB from the case, and we plug it there on the motherboard. There's only one way to plug this one in. Next cable we're going to plug in will be this HD audio, so you can plug your headphones into the case directly, and there's also this power switch one. There's no reset button, so we don't need to worry about that. The HD audio one only goes one way, as you guys can see there, there's a blank pin, and there's a blank pin there that matches the cable. You just need to be careful not to force anything. And there you go guys, HD audio completed. Next, the power button, and we got these two sorted. Next one will be this beast 24-pin cable. You can't miss it, it's the only one this size, and again only goes one way. There's a small clip there. Okay guys, job done. Moving on, let's do the CPU one, top left of the motherboard, with the cable I showed you before labeled CPU. We don't need to split the cable, as this motherboard uses 8-pin. There's a clip as well, only goes one way, so just need to twist the cable, rotate the cable the best way you can, and plug it in. Next, let's sort out the fans, and basically what we're going to do is plug each fan to each other in terms of power, and then the RGB as well. After that, one of the power cables will go to the motherboard so we can control our fan speed, and one of the RGB cables will go to the case, to that red top left header there. So basically what we're going to do now is going to separate the cables so we know which cable is from which fan, plug everything together so all the fans will work as one. If you want to control the RGB via the motherboard, you need to plug the RGB cable into the motherboard, but we're not going to do that. This big one, the Saturn one, needs power. This is for the fan controller, so one cable from the PSU, a Saturn one, will plug into that one. Alright guys, without any further ado, let's start plug the fans all together. I'm going to leave a link down below from another video that helped me a lot with this fan situation, very helpful. So check that one as well if you have a chance. Okay, so now all the fans are plugged together, and the last thing we need to do is one of the ends, we need to plug it into the motherboard socket, like so. Depending on the motherboard, the location might be different, so check your user manual. Next, we need to plug the RGB cable to the case itself. For this Fractal case, is there in red the RGB controller. That's just a cover. Remove that red cover and plug your RGB cable. Only goes one way, there's 3 pins. By doing this, we can control the RGB with the fan top button. All the fans will keep the same colors because they are all connected together. Last thing, as I mentioned, we got this big one, the SATA cable. Just bring the SATA cable from your PSU and plug it together. Very good guys, and now it comes to the part of the graphics card. I picked this RX 6700 XT with 12 gigs of memory, PCIe 4.0 from Sapphire. Nowadays you can get cheaper prices for graphics cards. I'll leave a link down below so you guys can check it out. Alright, let's open this one. And there you have it guys, 2 fans in this case, massive cooler. This version is the Pulse version. This particular one has no RGBs, so no lights. And we got 6 plus 8 pin connector. It does look good. Okay guys, let's plug it in. Very straightforward, so we're going to put on that PCI slot there, the top one. But of course we need to remove these 2 brackets there on the case on the left side. Again, these are thumb screws, which I found very handy. Nevertheless, a screwdriver will do an easier job for you. Okay, next step, carefully just slot the graphics card in, align everything, and it's job done. Next step, just put the screws back on. Job done. Now we need to give it power to the graphics card. In this case, we're going to use the cables labeled PCIe. For this particular model, it uses 8 plus 6. So one of the cables we had to not using it basically. And saying that guys, let's turn the machine on. I've got the monitor on the floor there, just ready to turn the PC on. Everything is on, so let's give it a go. And nothing. Oops, I think I forgot to turn the PSU on. Let's give it another try. and still nothing. So let's see what are we doing wrong. And yeah, I forgot to plug it. Yeah, I can see some lights on the motherboard, guys. So let's give it a go. And yeah, happy days. It turned on. Okay, so now it's time to do our cable management. But first, it looks like the monitor is not showing anything because I forgot to plug in the HDMI cable. And yeah, now everything looks fine. Few rookie mistakes. Yeah, guys, everything seems to be working fine. There's not a lot of fan noise. Let's change the color of the RGB here. And because we plug all the fans together, if we change the color there on the button, it will change for the 3 fans. Cool thing on the case, even the power button has RGB. Okay guys, now let's sort out this cable mess the best we can. I'm not very expert routing the cables, but let's try. I believe if you buy a modular PSU, this process will be better, but nevertheless this Fractal case is quite good. Well, let's just leave it like this for now. Put the sides on, and the best part, let's peel this film, the protection film, off. Moving back to the front, we have this tray. There's nothing else there. So let's put the front back on. Last thing we need to do is put the glass side. Please note there's a protection film on the inside. I just realized that later on, so I removed it later. For now, let's just remove the outside one. And there you have it, guys. We finished our build. The computer is now finished, working flawlessly and ready for us to play some games. I've been using the computer for, I don't know, a few months now, maybe a couple of months, and so far so good. I'm very happy with the purchase we did, all the components so far, so good. What we're gonna do now, before we finish the video, we're gonna play some games, and I'm going to turn on the FPS reader on the monitor so you'll be able to see what we achieve depending on the game, and you'll be able to see what resolution and what settings we are using. For example, for the CSGO, we got 165 steady, no issues with this game whatsoever. 1440p. Let's now try another title, 1440p, and you guys can see the settings again. Motion blur quality ultra, most of the things high, and you got 160, got a few frame drops there, but no complaints. Next one will be Sims 4, everything on very high and high, 1440p again, vertical sync on. Okay, so next one we're going to try Beam NG Drive, very demanding game from my experience. You cannot get 165 steady, but yeah, the game is fluid, there's no complaints here, and this is not on the ultra resolution. Let's try that now all the way to the max, and again, bear in mind, this is just a very heavy game. Nevertheless, I think it's very acceptable. Got around 80 FPS, high 70s. Alright guys, I must tell you I'm very happy with the results. And let's wrap the video. I think I'm gonna skip the benchmark. I'm not a huge fan of benchmark results. I'm a fan of watching the FPS on the games I want to play and how fluid they play and the gaming experience. That's what counts in my honest opinion. Saying that, thank you for watching till the end. I hope you like this every so slightly different style of video. If you enjoyed, click the like button and consider subscribing. Stay tuned for more to come. As always guys, thank you very much for watching and hope I can see you all in the next one.